Fani Willis getting sued. She's got a lot of different problems there in Fulton County, but this lawsuit is just another one. They're saying that she's not disclosing evidence that they need. Who is they? Well, it's Mike Roman, of course, Ashley Merchant, the defense attorney who blew the lid off the whole Fani Wade hot dog scandal that's taking place there in Georgia. And now, because Fani is refusing to give them the materials that they need to properly investigate this claim that these two little lovebirds have been going on cruises together using prosecution money, she filed a complaint. We're going to go through it and see what's inside. We've also got updates. Nathan's divorce got settled. There was a new audio that is available where Fani is secretly recorded with this woman who's a whistleblower who's pointing out all of the problems in her office, and Fani Willis fired her. Sheesh. And then we know that Fani, even though she's not going to be testifying in Nathan Wade's divorce, she got a subpoena to show up on February 15th, and we can't wait to watch that hearing together. So make sure you're subscribed and joining us as we do. Now, let's get into the lawsuit, because this stems from this back and forth. Remember, Mike Roman and Ashley Merchant, the defendant and the defense attorney, they shocked the whole world when we learned that there was a very concerning relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, her very special prosecutor, who she paid nearly $1 million, while the other special prosecutors just got under $100,000. And presumably she didn't sleep with them. But here is the complaint. Now, this is going to Fulton County's district office, which is Fani's, and it's brought by the Merchant Law Firm. Shout out to Ashley Merchant, doing a great job there. We have the best defense attorneys. We love our defense attorneys. So in Superior Court of Fulton County, she sends this one, and it's a civil action, okay? So this is a different complaint. She is filing a lawsuit. She's saying, all right, guess what, Fani? You're in big trouble now. Here is our complaint against you for violating Georgia's Records Act. You're busted. Saying here, it is important, Your Honor, to know that we are here filing a complaint against Fani. Why? Because she's violating the Georgia Records Act. And they tell us about this act. They say Georgia legislature already passed this, by the way. And it's important. It's a mechanism so citizens of Georgia can actually evaluate their government's use of resources. The act was specifically created because we are in favor of open government here in Georgia. The open government is essential to a free and open and democratic society. Transparency, man. That's one of our values here. That public access to public records should be encouraged to foster confidence in government, and so that the public, us, can evaluate the expenditure of these public funds. That's why we passed this act. It is the law. Georgia 50-1870. Now, thus, the public policy behind the act is to encourage transparency in the government. The Court of Appeals has said this too. So there's a lot of reasons why we're entitled to this material. But District Attorney Fani, she's made public statements indicating that she would lead Fulton County, and she said historically that she would be transparent with her citizens. Now, despite the fact that we passed this bill with clear intent, saying we want transparency, and despite the fact that Ms. Willis said that she would be transparent, Fulton County has denied Ashley Merchant and Mike Roman, the defendant, the right to inspect a number of her records. So much for transparency, huh? Now, some of these records include reports that are provided to Fulton County by third-party media companies that were hired with taxpayer funds, by the way, to track the impact of Ms. Willis's statements to the media and whether such statements were viewed favorably by the public. Whoa, that's curious. Wow. Okay, so a third party, lawyers hire consultants all the time. For example, lawyers will hire, let's say, jury, we call them mock jury panels. So you bring in a mock jury, like literally, like you'll hire a bunch of random people, come in and sit for a jury. I'm not joking. And they come in and you present your opening arguments, you present your case, and you ask them, what did you think about this? What did you say when I said that my client was as innocent as the, wind-driven snow? Did you like that? Well, not really. I don't know what that meant. Okay, I'll change that next time. I'm not going to say that again because nobody got it, right? So you test this stuff. Public, all sorts, expert witnesses, of course, or something that defense attorneys hire all the time, a blood analysis expert, whatever. So here she is, it sounds like, hiring a media consultant or basically like a public perception third party to analyze the reaction to what her office is doing, right? What does the public think about this? So Miss Willis first, she's, using Georgia money to do it. Maybe federal money, we don't know. But Miss Willis first began contracting with these companies just before she and Fulton sought to investigate and indict Mr. Roman and everyone else like Trump. So she hired all of these public perception entities before all of this started. So she hired them, one would argue, for this. That's why we're entitled to those materials. And she's using taxpayer money to get it. So as shown below more fully, Fulton and Fani is in clear violation of the act, appears to be intentionally withholding information in advance of scheduled evidentiary hearings, like we're going to be in court discussing this stuff, and we need the materials before we can actually talk intelligently about it in two separate proceedings. And and has forced Ashley Merchant, the plaintiff, to take this action to file this lawsuit. Now, these are not the efforts of an agency, Fani, so-called transparency. Give me a break. And here, Ashley Merchant, through Mike Roman, they request that the court grant relief herein and say that Fulton must permit the inspection or the copying of their documents. And that still, those documents have not been made available to us. It's evident that Fulton and Fani has withheld the records without the substantial justification that they need to do that under the law. Now, here's a footnote about why Fani was not listed. They say Fani is not named individually in this case because a case is currently pending in the Supreme Court in Georgia that seeks to address whether an elected DA may be sued personally under Georgia's open records law. But nevertheless, since the Fulton County office is subject to the open records, we say the relief here is proper and should be granted. So Fani is dealing with another opens record problem in Georgia at the Supreme Court. Now, they say they've got jurisdiction. Why? Fulton County is an agency. Plaintiff is seeking a public record. Venue's proper in Fulton. The parties, we know. Plaintiff is law firm, is a corporation. Shout out to Ashley Merchant. Fulton County is a political subdivision in Georgia. Now, here's the factual background that leads us to this filing. They say plaintiff, Ashley Merchant, represents Michael Roman, who is a defendant, one of the 19 co-defendants in the RICO case that includes Trump. There was an evidentiary hearing on the calendar. That's currently scheduled for February 15th. We are going to be all over that, so be sure that you're subscribed wherever it is you're watching this. Mr. Roman filed a motion to dismiss and also filed a motion to disqualify Fani. And remember, Donald Trump joined this. We read through that filing yesterday. And all of that is going to be in furtherance of stopping the prosecution of Roman. So we also know that Mr. Roman has also subpoenaed Willis and Wade to come in and testify. I wonder if they'll be holding hands when they walk through the door. You got this, baby. I love you. Just go up there, stand strong. We're innocent. That's going to happen on February 15th, 2024. I can't wait. Now, right after Valentine's Day. Oh, isn't that fun? Oh, right after Valentine's Day. So maybe Willis and Wade will have a nice dinner, a nice steak on their Fulton County credit card, and then they'll show up the next day with that little afterglow. Now, Wade is also scheduled to appear at a separate evidentiary hearing in his pending divorce matter. That's tomorrow, but that's going to be settled. All right, most of that's done. We're going to get there in a minute. Now, among other grounds, Mr. Roman, the defendant, has asserted that Willis and Wade should be disqualified because Willis, Fani, used taxpayer money to pay Wade, with whom she had a romantic relationship, and she got financial benefits from those payments. How? Vacations, cruises, hotel stays, and other personal gifts. She went to Napa Valley, man. She was on cruises. So in light of this information, Mr. Roman, they say, they believe that Willis's use of money that was budgeted to Fulton is of the utmost importance in evaluating whether Willis and Wade have an irreparable and fatal conflict of interest and whether and to what extent Willis has otherwise used public monies for her personal gain. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Nathan Wade is racking up a bunch of bills right now. I'm doing a lot of legal research right now so he can buy Fani something nice. Who knows? Now, in an apparent effort to intentionally stall Ashley Merchant and Mike Roman's inspection of these documents before the hearing comes up, Fulton has refused, without any adequate explanation, to provide us with the documents that we seek, some of which we've been asking for September of last year. Now, the DA's response to Roman's motion is due this Friday, and so also this Friday, we're going to have another nice filing to read through because Fani's going to be responding to the motion, and it should be juicy. We'll see if she's in love or not. On September 1, Ashley, the Merchant law firm, requested public records from Fani's office. Back on September 1st, here's what we said. We want these materials. We want all contracts, all bids, all agreements. She's a good lawyer, man. From the law offices of Nathan Wade, Christopher Campbell, PC, the Cross Law Firm, LCC, Anna Cross, everybody, okay? She just did some digging. I want everybody, all LLCs, everything that your special counsel ever touched. I want information about it. Invoices, contracts, county approval of these vendors, and other documents and all the things. Now, we don't know if she's going to get all this stuff. Fani said you're not entitled to any of it. But I mean, that one for sure. I mean, these two, yeah, that's a special counsel, and that's Nathan Wade's law firm. These others, I don't even know what they are. All of this, though, probably very relevant. And she sent the request over, and it is attached as an exhibit. Now, the defense here, the plaintiff, the defendant in this case, did not receive any documents within the 3 business days, and there were no legal exceptions that were asserted by Fani. So we followed up. We sent another letter, September 11th. Hello, did you get our first letter? Same thing on the 13th. Hello, the 14th and the 15th. This is just great. Every day. Hey, just following up. Oh, it's so annoying. It's the worst. The worst. If you're on the receiving end of that, it's just the worst, right? And she's just day after day, 3 days in a row. I wonder if this was a weekend. She missed the 12th. I wonder what was up. Probably tired. But September 11th, 13th, 14th, boom, over to the 15th. Hey, just following up on my prior message. Hey, just following up on my prior message. Oh, it's the worst. Those people are the worst. push, especially if they need something from you and like they have a point, like you have to respond. You're like, ah, I know. And so that's what's happening in those prosecutors' offices. And they're just irritated because they can't respond. Like they cannot respond. It's great. Now, despite not providing numerous invoices and other documents or providing any reason for failing to do so, Fulton County just returned and said, your request has been closed. After all those emails. And so she knows exactly what she's doing, obviously. So she's papering the file. You paper the file so that you can make this request later and say, look, and say this. Say, Judge, I asked them 5 times, hello. They're not responding. I sent them 5 emails. As a result, on January 4th, then, Miss Merchant had to refile her request, send it back over to Fulton County. A copy of the refiled request is also attached if you want to see it. Now, this request also sought any new documents that were created since the time. But again, Miss Merchant did not receive any response. So she sent some more emails, sent another one on January 12th, one on January 16th. She said, do you have a timeline? But it's now been more than 3 months. And on January 22nd, they responded. They said, this is a government prosecutor. Your request has been forwarded to the appropriate department and the time extended to accommodate the appropriate department. Give me a break. Fulton County then wrote, please see the letter attached and this request has been extended. Then they closed the request and they told her accordingly. Now they tell us that Fulton County and their action in prematurely closing these requests made the process unnecessarily confusing and burdensome. Like they closed it and then they reopened it. So like you get new request numbers and it goes back into the new system, blah, blah, blah. Now one can only assume this was done intentionally with the hope that Merchant would just simply accept that the request was closed, but she did not because she is a defense attorney extraordinaire. Because it is evident that the numerous additional responsive documents were in their possession and they did not give them to us. The open records process itself appears designed to deter Georgia's citizens from even accessing those records. Yeah, so that's Fani's transparency in action, closing all of their requests. But Ashley Merchant didn't stop there. No, sir. On January 14th, she filed yet another request because it was closed. That's attached now as Exhibit C. Then 4 days later, they responded. Fulton said, oh gosh, it's this woman again. They said, please log into the portal and see the responsive document. Now she's like, oh great, I got documents. Perfect. Let me log in. The response provided only one contract for John Floyd and they closed it. You know, it's like when you submit a ticket request, you're like, hey, why isn't my chat working? You submit a ticket. Why isn't this working? And they say, it's user error, ticket closed, chat ended. You go, what? Or you try to get a refund. Hey, I'd like a refund for this ridiculous thing. Denied. Yeah, guess that's it. So that's what Fani's doing for the people of Georgia. Now, finally, Ashley Merchant didn't let up. January 29th, just a few days ago, Fulton County wrote in the records portal. They said, please log into the portal to see the documents. Now, numerous documents were provided in this response, so they're getting closer to it. Delaying, right? Drop it all as late as you can. Now, prosecutor's side, they're also reading the rules of criminal procedure probably, and they're saying, we have an argument to delay this, all the way up until just a couple weeks before the hearing or a couple days before the hearing, right? They're making their posturing as well. So finally, they drop them, okay? January 29, 2024. But numerous documents are still missing. Now, to date, the following 5 items remain outstanding, and these have been pending for almost 5 months. Invoices for July 2023 through December 2023. Nathan Wade got paid for those months, but we don't have the invoices. Where are those? Invoices for Terrence Bradley. Where are those? Don't know. Gone. Anna Cross's current contract, and I think she was another special counsel who's actually qualified. Don't know if Fani slept with her or not, though. Current contract as the contract provided to Miss Merchant, it ended on June 30th. So I'm missing stuff here. I also want current invoices for Anna Cross. Her last invoice was from October 2023. We're now about in February. And John Floyd's current contract, the contract provided for Floyd, ended in 2022. So give us all these records. They say upon information and belief, the documents sought were the same ones that they've held. Okay, they have those, but they were intentionally withheld by them. They were intentionally withheld because we filed a motion to disqualify. And now there's considerable news coverage that show the financial arrangements between Willis and Wade are big, like $1 million. So then in September of last year, Merchant wanted a different set of records, specifically talking about the CARES Act money. The CARES Act. Said, are you using CARES money to go on your cruises? They submitted a request and they responded. Fulton said, we reviewed your records request. Unfortunately, we do not have the responsive records. Well, that's weird. She says that's strange because upon information and belief, I think that Fani and Willis, they're required to maintain records about how that money was used. That's federal grant money. And they should have records showing how those funds were spent, but they don't have any responsive records for that Fed government money. Nevertheless, in addition to the response, they said in the normal course of business, we do not maintain responsive records and we cannot produce the records records you seek. So then she submitted a separate request. Just great, man. This attorney is just like peppering them. I am seeking personnel records. I am requesting a list of all attorneys with their names and dates of hiring hired by DA Fani since Fani became the DA. 10 days later, they said, please log in. She logged in, no responsive records. Said, in its normal course of business, we do not maintain those records. We can't tell you who Fani hired. Now, this request, the reason she made that request, it's not just because she's like, who did you hire? You know, I'm just curious. No, it was made because Fani went and spoke at a Fulton County Board of Commissioners. She asked for additional funding to hire lawyers and staff to clear the backlog of COVID cases. So if that were true in 2021, and she did indeed hire lawyers with the funding, there should be records related to that. I need more money for COVID. They gave her more money. What did she do with it? So this lawyer wanted copies of everything, including all the independent contractors that they've hired as well. They submitted on in the portal. Now, Ms. Merchant has not gotten anything, and they responded that we cannot produce the records you seek. Wild. They're not producing anything. No independent contractor records. Sorry, don't have them for you. Now, they say Fulton issued a statement to the news media that NDAs did not exist, but they later retracted that. They also want the analytics that were provided by Critical Mention. Okay, so that's the company they were talking about earlier. Company called Critical Mention. The contract is for media monitoring and analytical reports. They're provided in response to this contract. Now, 10 days after the original request, Fulton said, yeah, it's clear. Fulton County used funds from Fulton County to contract with Critical Mention to monitor the media presence of Fani Willis. Those emails contain attachments, which were the very reports that she sent, but the request was closed. So they didn't give her information about the money that was spent on Critical Mention. Now, as a result of this, she refiled this. She says, I want that. She said, it appears from the emails that Jeff DeSantis, Fani Willis, and others may have accessed these reports. And these reports are paid for by public funds. And so if you're going to get reports about the media, about what the media thinks about Fani, it's public funds, it's subject to open records. So we're entitled to see that stuff. Now, since Fulton provided the emails that contain the attachments, the emails are obviously kept in the ordinary course of their business. So it's not clear why the attachments have not been provided. They gave us the emails, but not the attachments. Why not? Why is the basis for withholding this? Neither Fulton County nor Fani provided any objection that has a legal basis, and so we're entitled to this. Similar stuff here about Critical Mention. Now, here's another one. She wants to know about vacation time. I want a copy of all vacation and time off requests from Fani Willis. Oh, I love it. Did she put in an official notice? We submitted a bunch of requests January 16th. We took 10 days, didn't get any response. Therefore, the responsive documents should have been provided by January 26th. However, on January 26th, they did respond. They said that we do not maintain responsive records and we cannot produce the records you seek. No records. Weird. So we don't know. Does she even ask for time off or what? She just takes the time off. We also wanted reports and itemizations about what was done with all the property and funds that came through forfeiture proceedings. Where did the funds go and who was paid with your forfeiture money? We want to know, did you use forfeiture funds to pay for Nathan Wade? In other words, where'd their money come from? Similarly, about reimbursements and proof of reimbursements. We want to know, did Fani ask for reimbursements? Did she pay for something and then seek money back? They said no responsive records. Wild, right? Now, similarly, we've got questions about paying or hiring outside counsel, no responsive records. And so we tried to summarize all of this. They're telling the judge, Your Honor, we summarized all of this outstanding stuff. We gave it over to Fani. Copy of the letters attached, but she failed to provide us the documents. Now, at no time prior did Fani give any objections or anything, and therefore she's not objecting. And so these are the counts, a violation of Georgia's open records law, saying she's supposed to give us these materials. The law says so. She clearly has them, and she is not giving them to us. So we're asking the court to issue an order directing them to disclose what we've asked for within 10 days, and if not, issue penalties. Signed by John B. Merchant III at the Merchant Law Firm. Is this a husband and wife team? Get out of town. Do we have a husband and wife team, or do we have a family team here? The Merchant Law Firm? This gets better and better by the day. All right, so these are the rest of the exhibits. You can see all the letter requests. Here are the Nathan Wade invoices. Here's their portal. I'm seeking copies of everything you've ever touched. And they just say, oh, there's nothing responsive. Here are all her emails. It's great. All right, she included her emails. I love it. All right, this is perfect. All right, this is why lawyers can be so annoying. Here, 9/11, almost 5 o'clock p.m. An email from her. Another one, 9/12 at noon. Just a reminder. Hey, thanks for the invoices. 9/13. We still don't have these files. We do not have invoices for this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Immediate, rapid fire. Okay, there's a concept in criminal defense called WAR. Okay, WAR. It's called We're Always Ready. We're always ready. WAR. So you want to send an email to us? Boom, we just respond right back. It's like we don't even even think about it. This is our only case. We're throwing everything we've got against you specifically, prosecutor. Enjoy. Kind of what this looks like. It says, okay, well, there were 2 attachments. Like, this person sent all these attachments back and it's like, here, go away, go away. She says, oh, thank you. First one is Nathan Wade. It does not contain this. Second one is Nathan Wade 2. It's 4 pages. Does not contain the original document. Please resend. Thanks. Good afternoon. Just following up. Still haven't gotten anything from you. Now this person's on their heels. Now they're like, oh, crap. So the responses stop. Here's another one, the 15th, and that concludes it. If I don't hear from you, I'm going to assume these do not exist, but let me know. Otherwise, we're going to sue your butts. Of course, that's what they're doing now. So very, very fun stuff. Fani Willis and her office. It feels like it's in total disarray. Something we've observed from the very beginning on this case. Feels like they are incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. And I think that's confirmed by all of their diversion plea deals that they have given to Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, Kenneth Chesebro, and Scott Hall. They all got off with no convictions at all because there's no evidence. They don't even have their records. We don't keep records. There's no notes. So the question was, what is going to happen now? Because Nathan Wade is also going through this divorce. Fani was supposed to come and testify. She got a subpoena, but it looks like they settled the whole thing out. Smart move on their part. Here is the story from the Times. They say Fani's not going to have to testify. The leading special prosecutor, known as Nathan Wade, is divorcing his wife, Jocelyn Wade, but Fani's not going to have to testify. There was a temporary agreement that was reached in their divorce case on Tuesday. And I had a feeling this was going to happen. It almost sounded too good to be true. Like, are we going to have like a really hot contested divorce? And we're going to have like Fani Willis and coming in here to testify about her man? It's like, oh gosh, this could have been amazing. I had my fingers crossed a little bit, but I also had a suspicion that this was going to get solved because now Nathan Wade, he has no leverage at all. Like, Jocelyn hit the lottery. Like, it was contested, 50-50. I'm going to keep the house. You can keep the boat. You can keep this. Oh, now Jocelyn's like, I'm taking everything, or else we're just going to call your lover in, who happens to be Fulton County, the biggest Fani in Georgia. So what do you want to give me or not? And Nathan's like, whatever you want. I apologize. I'm sorry. Here, have the house, have the boat, have the kids. I don't care. And they settled it. So the agreement between Nathan Wade and his wife, Jocelyn, leaves unanswered for the time being a question that has created peril for Miss Willis. Miss Willis hired Wade, a private lawyer, to help run the Trump case, but a filing weeks ago says that they were indicting each other on cruise ships. Now, Mr. Roman argues this is a conflict of interest. Now, so far, they say no one's confirmed nor denied their relationship, but in recent days, it seemed likely that Wade was going to have to address this at the proceeding on Wednesday. And he didn't want to talk either, man. He's like, I don't want to answer any questions about this. So they just covered the whole thing up. Yes, you can have everything. I don't need anything, meaning I don't know, like all of that Fani money, maybe she's getting a nice portion of that. I don't know. He got like $1 million allegedly. So did they split that down the middle? She's like, I'll settle this and you don't have to testify, but I want 500 grand. I don't know. I bet it's juicy. We'll see what's inside if they disclose it. A lot of the times you get to see what those are. But here they tell us the hearing was scuttled at the last minute with an agreement, which was announced by the judge. They're all skidding in here. Like, I can just envision the panic at the law offices to settle this before the trial or before the hearing. Now, we can confirm there is a temporary agreement in place while the final details are worked out. But Andrea Dyer Hastings, I think she's the Scorpion King who we heard testify. That was Mrs. Wade's divorce lawyer. So she got like everything they wanted. Now, Ms. Hastings further explained on Tuesday, while this negates the immediate need for a hearing, it does not settle the case. She added the issues of temporary alimony and attorney's fees have been resolved. I bet they have. Yeah, I bet they've been resolved pretty quickly. He's like, well, up until this story broke, I'm sure he was, not very cooperative. Now I'm sure he's very cooperative. The couple's children are adults. He's like, I don't care. You can have them anyways. Mr. Wade married Miss Wade in 1997, filed for divorce 2 years ago, got the case immediately sealed. Miss Willis has until Friday to respond to Mr. Roman's filing. That's in the criminal case, and we are going to be excited to read that one. Apparently, Wade has reaped in more than $650,000 in legal fees, and I don't know how much Jocelyn is getting. And by the way, Jocelyn was also accused of infidelities, which is not true at all. And hopefully she got some recompense for that. Now, the allegations do not change the underlying facts of the case. Trump is an insurrectionist. And so the New York Times goes back into New York Times mode because they can't help themselves. But the divorce case was settled. And so any good juicy bits that we were going to get out of that is good, but was going to be good. But we're not going to get any juicy bits out of that, unfortunately. But we do have another juicy bit that shows the total disarray and disorder in Fani Willis's office. This came over from Andrew Kerr on X, and he says, breaking. The Free Beacon, shout out to the Free Beacon, has obtained audio of a whistleblower in Fani Willis's office in 2021 with her top aide apparently was trying to misuse federal funds. Willis did not dispute the allegations, and check this out. 56 days later, Willis fired the woman you're about to hear from, probably for her racist attacks on Fani, criticizing her role.
If you had to give me a sentence, what is the sentence theme?
Sentence theme.
Once I told him about his respectfully and in the email about his lack of leadership and the fact that he wanted to do things with grants that were impossible. And I kept telling him, like, we can't do that, and questioning stuff. He would take me off projects, tell people I wasn't doing what I was supposed to because I questioned him, because I understood. I helped write that grant. I knew what was in that grant. He told everybody in front of Crystal, Deontay, everybody, we're going to get MacBooks, we're going to get swag, we're going to use it for travel. I said, you cannot do that. It's a very, very specific grant. Took me off. I questioned Junior DA. There's kids in there from out of the county. All this took me off Junior DA. I did not want to do it. He made it look as if I wasn't doing what I needed to do because I questioned him. Because I knew for a fact Mr. Cuffey respectfully did not know what he was doing. Period.
So I respect that is your assessment. It was clear to me that you and Mr. Cuffey were not getting along. And I'm not saying that your assessment is wrong. I want you to really listen to the words I'm saying.
Cuffey, and this is my personal opinion, to one woman to another, is dangerous to your administration.
Wow.
He tells people, when I reached out to you, he told me, oh, you think your word is safe? Exactly when you reached out to Miss Willis, she called me and told me, she tell me everything. So once you reach out to her, she's going to reach up back out to me. So I didn't even go to HR, and he put Dexter's name on my PDP, and I didn't even feel safe going to any.
Can I tell you something? I have 3 supervisors that have failed in this field. What's interesting to me, because I'm in a learning curve too, they each pretend to have a relationship with me that they do not have. I guess that's an intimidation tactic. I'm sorry that you felt that way, but you certainly don't have no relationship with Michael Cuffey. You were safe to go those places.
Okay, so that is the conversation between Fani, and apparently the story is from the New York Post that Willis fired that woman, fired her on January 14, 2022, and then escorted her literally out of the building with 7 armed investigators. Apparently that's what she told the Free Beacon. So that's what's happening there, right? That guy that she was talking about is going to just get MacBooks, and they're going to get a bunch of swag, and the person who's actually doing the good work there saying you can't do that. That grant is specific. Fired, walked out of the building. That's what it looks like in Fani Willis's office. But Fani Willis is going to have to apparently testify. We're going to see what the judge says about this, but she got a subpoena to show up for the February 15th hearing and speak. And we're going to be covering this one, my friends. So be sure that you're subscribed and liking our videos wherever it is you're watching. Here is what Fulton County DA has to do. She's been subpoenaed for the February 15th hearing. Lawsuit filed by Ashley Merchant, we just read through. Merchant represents Roman, and the motion has been explosive. But Wade was expected to be questioned on Wednesday, but that's not going to happen. But now they've got subpoenas that have been sent out. And in the motion that we just read, she says that they are serving Fani Willis. Now, a spokesman says that the lawsuit has not been served on her, but in a letter sent on Friday, the DA's office said, respectfully, we disagree with your disingenuous implication that they violated the open records laws. Merchant recently sworn in as the new president, of the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, and so she is bringing it hard to Fani Willis. And so things continue to heat up, my friends. Fani Willis's response is due at the end of the week. We're going to be here covering that. We've got a big explosive hearing on a motion to dismiss the entire RICO case based on her infidelities and unethical behavior as alleged. And we're going to be here continuing to cover it. So I hope you join us as we do. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. Thanks for checking out our website. Link down in the description below over at robertgovea.com. We post all of our PDFs there. So if you want to dive into the red lines we just went through, that's where you'll find them. And you can also sign up for our daily newsletter so that all these segments, they get bundled up, they get delivered to your inbox so you never miss a thing. And we'll be looking forward to seeing you back there and back here on the next one.